Okay, hopefully we are live now. So let's keep Fahrenheit's story uh, for the last because
Mhm.
he might show up.
Hopefully, hopefully may join us.
So let's start with Captain Eric's story again. I
Mhm.
guess like last time.
Oh man, yet again.
Yeah.
It sort of reminded me a bit of Flowers for Algernon. If you have read
Mhm.
that, it's a short story, but there's also a movie which is about this mentally retarded guy, but they do some sort of experiment. Um, a bunch of scientists do some sort of experiment on him, which had worked on mice to make them intelligent. Um, and so he becomes a genius. And but the twist is that, he's able to get a woman and all that, and he's not treated like an idiot by his co-workers and whatnot. But then, the magic runs out, and it turns out that he's slowly losing his intelligence
Mm.
back to the level. Um, I guess the reason why it reminded me a little bit of that is because there was also um, he gets with a woman there as well, um, but then that obviously doesn't. So basically, Captain Eric's story is a bit like I don't know a robot getting friend zoned or something.
It reminded me a little bit of a less cynical, less cruel. What's the name of that movie about the EA? Like this guy who's like a brilliant genius, and he invites this person in his secret laboratory, pretty much.
It's Machina, right?
Ex Machina, exactly.
Yeah,
Only
yeah,
I
that
really like that movie, but at the ending was a bit too obvious in a sense. I felt like, okay, the AI is going to be the biggest, the cruelest of them all, and I was like, yep, I was right.
yeah, I don't know.
I kind of like that this one turned out to be a bit more wholesome, so to say.
So I guess one of the things which I kept on wondering about, but I guess because nobody made a point of it in the story, um, the AI that, must have looked like a human, I imagine, basically,
Hmm.
right,
I
Captain
kind of
Eric?
Yes,
like that it's
I
not
haven't
entirely
made
clear.
a physical description. I haven't made a physical description of him, but yeah, it was supposed to look like a human. Yes, and
Um,
it was supposed to have the cognitive abilities of a human, but without emotions. So that's why the story goes like, I don't have emotions, and this girl, when she shows up, helps me discover my emotions, and now I'm better.
yeah, yes. So the robot is kind of a neat, I guess. Uh,
Yes.
um, I guess one thing which sort of came out of nowhere at the end was that the girl is religious. I don't know. But I guess
Well,
yeah,
it could have honestly felt like the right escalation to me. They started talking about more mundane things the first few days, and they moved towards higher and higher topics. And then, since this girl happens to be religious, they also talked about God and religion, which makes sense. It would be something I bring up later rather than immediately if I were to be introduced to a new person. I don't think it's a great icebreaker. By the way, what do you think about
yeah, fair enough.
what do
Uh,
you think about the epistemological reasons for Christianity versus that would be a little sorry, what the worst way to
s-
in, to open dialogue with someone.
So, did the robot actually leave the facility, or did the girl come to the facility?
No, he never left the
Yeah,
facility.
never
The
left. Yeah,
girl
yeah.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
brought there
The
to the facility.
the girl is brought in.
What?
They
What?
couldn't
Yeah.
they couldn't go out, so they did the opposite. Instead of
Yes.
sending him out in the world, they brought a piece of the world, so to say, inside the facility.
What was the title again?
A robot's diary.
I see. I see. I guess. Is there a reason why the dialogue was a bit like you would in a script, like the name and then a bit of dialogue? Is there a reason why you decided to go with that?
Not exactly. I wanted more, I wanted to expose the action in a better way. Not just to narrate it, but to, to expose the plan through the lens of the people that were actually trying to make the
I mean,
plan.
the dialogue was like in a screenplay, I guess you could say. Like
Yes.
yeah. Um, okay. Which I don't. I mean, there aren't that. Do you think that was necessary, Kiasma?
I think I liked the way the dialogues were sort of portrayed in that way.
Hmm. So, okay. Anything else to add about the story, Kiasma?
No, no, I kind of liked it. It was simple enough, but conveyed a, a rather interesting, simple story about something that technically shouldn't have any emotions um, coming to grip with some of the limits even of what we can feel and what he itself can feel.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it basically hit all of the keywords, I guess. So whatever the writing prompts that we set: happiness, joyful,
Yeah,
artificiality.
honestly, I wouldn't mind to see a longer, like a story involving this character delving more into into its own discoveries, etc. It felt like interesting, and
Yeah.
in a sense, the details that weren't there, since he told in first person, and he doesn't know exactly how itself is working, makes it more fascinating to a degree. It's again a little bit of that, um, you know. Who said it? Oh, I keep forgetting the name. It's a very famous writer who said at one point technology is so advanced that you cannot distinguish it from magic, and it sort of felt a little bit this way, but in a good way.
Yeah. So basically, given that this is sort of a reverse Frankenstein, like in
Yeah,
Frankenstein, the doctor abandons the monster, and you know the story. Um, uh, so one of the things I remember, the points was that the doctor didn't even bother to give a name to the monster, which is why everybody calls him Frankenstein, even though Frank.
technically it has a name,
What is it?
Adam, because the
Oh, okay.
full title of the book is Frankenstein or the New Adam.
Hmm.
Because he's Frankenstein's creature, and in a sense, he's the god of this new creature, born out of mad science. So he's the new Adam, and the name would be Adam.
Right. So did the scientists in this story, Captain Eric, give a name to?
No, no, they haven't given a name to the robot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess another question, which um, I guess kind of came to mind, is that how long? I guess I got the feeling that it's supposed to be 15 years old. Actually, you did say that, right? Or
Yes, I've said it.
Yeah, or is that just the mental age rather than the actual age?
Hmm.
Yes, it's just the mental age, not the actual age of the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his mind is the mind of a 15-year-old. So that's why the main girl character was a 15-year-old, to be complementary.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter for how long it has existed for, or something like that.
Yes, it doesn't really matter.
Um. Okay. Yeah, I guess. I guess it. I would have expected given that they're trying to humanize him, that they would have given him a name or something. But or maybe they did, and it's not just mentioned in the story.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
which makes sense since
it's
when
himself.
you
Yeah,
honestly, when you write something in a diary, you don't put your own name.
yeah. You don't.
Sounds a little bit weird.
Yeah. You don't. I mean, when I write in my diary, I don't really put dialogue either. But the story. So,
Mhm.
I guess we will go with. I guess Captain Eric, do you want to like explain the story or anything, or say anything we haven't said about it?
No, actually. I think you explained the story in a good way. I don't think that we need more explanations.
Okay. Now to go to Kiasma's. I guess. How should I say more uh,
Bleak.
present? Yeah. I guess. Um, you know, it
I couldn't resist. I know it was about happiness, but I played with the word. I twisted it because of,
You know,
and I sort of explain why at the end, and that's the real twist in a sense. I know it's a bit pretentious, but I kind of like this kind of
yes,
things.
yes, your story reminded me of that game, We Happy Few. Everyone lives in a happy utopia if they take the pill, but when they don't take the pill, they
Hmm.
live in this evil dystopia, which is essentially what you portrayed there.
Yeah,
An evil dystopia with a face of happiness.
yeah, it's sort of like the Coomer ending.
humor ending of humanity.
Yeah,
Um,
Yes.
so what was the title again?
Project Hop.
So happiness. I guess that's what it stood for, right?
Yeah, which if and the meaning is human alternative power production, because a lot of people are turning into human batteries pretty much. It's one of the things that it's mentioned at the beginning. I don't bring it up again, then, but that's why I chose hop, because it's also used later to explain why happiness is not exactly a good concept if divorced from other meaning to be
Yeah.
sort of
So basically,
joyful.
it's the Matrix, but it's not cool. Essentially,
Yeah.
uh, you can't do karate or whatever. So yeah. So I guess why don't you explain what happens in it, Chiasmo?
Very simple. There is an introduction that is sort of to explain this kind of world where everyone is happy, but actually they don't really know what happiness really means. And there is this person that is finally able to retire. It's taking pot shots at people who disagree with his worldview, and something goes wrong with his health, and he's quietly removed to make space for another person, pretty much to take his place for maybe a bit longer, or who knows, maybe the next person again will be deemed unworthy of a longer retirement and killed. And then the main story, the central focus is pretty much a routine control, between engineered creature and a human being. And it's sort of like this person has to be tested because he's still a human person, so there are certain emotional reactions and everything, despite being used as a sort of tool to create either energy or to filter minerals or materials from the waters, etc. And as this creature is sort of like interrogating, even if it tries to put it under the veneer of a friendly interaction, it gets more and more spooked. This creature gets sort of more and more spooked by the reply of this human, because he has accepted this sort of imprisonment, and with a high chance of being taken away for a longer time or for the rest of his life, and be used as a tool to produce something for this society instead of being freed one day and sent to retirement. And then there is the final part, which is pretty much a discussion between these control units and the supervising units, and how pretty much to justify the horrible situation that these people are trapped in, he says, in the end, this is sort of their fate, and if they can accept it and don't complain, let them enjoy this prison, in a sense.
Yeah.
And the story ends with this routine performer that is pretty much just another drone in this huge system, going back to his work and hoping not to find another one of these happy ones, he calls them, because it's like sort of afraid of their bizarre reaction.
It yeah. Basically, it's a corporate kind of dystopia, but not of the cyberpunk kind exactly. It's more
It
like
is only instead of you living in the pod, you get the pod, and in a sense you are convinced that it's the good thing for you, because you get food, you get I called it in the story pleasure routine, but of course we could call it in another way.
yes. I think people will get what it is.
Yeah. And at the same time, though, I do believe most of us will end up falling for this trap if we were, because if we were given this option, we'd be like, I don't need to do anything for another 30 years. I just stay in this place and sleep pretty much, and I get free pleasure twice per day.
I guess it's a little bit like Brave New World, but in Brave New World, like
Yeah, exactly. I felt it. I wanted to go closer to something like Brave New World rather than 1984.
yeah.
Even because I Brave New World, it's a lot of good points when he talks about how they are pretty much calling us and making us docile by handing us a
I mean,
few free pleasures here and there.
the feeling that I got was that it, that your story is like the for-profit version of Brave New World, almost, because I like one of the criticisms that I've seen people make about a Brave New World is that everything is state run, so it wouldn't work, wouldn't be able to support people or whatever. It would just collapse, or blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, technically, it's explained that only a selected few in Brave New World enjoy. There is again a division between the 1% and the 99%. However, the 99% is made to be retarded enough that they just work and that's it,
Yeah.
because they curb their intelligence, and they uh, change their behaviors through first in vitro when they are fetuses, and then when they are small children they pretty much indoctrinate them to like and dislike certain things and to obey certain orders. In this case, I made so that humans are literally, it's a little bit like at the beginning of the Matrix when Neo wakes up and see that most people are used as batteries.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually nothing really new. I just like the idea of a person that is fine with it, and when it's interacting with the only thing that's supposed to check that is fine with it. The creature that has to force him to be fine with it is sort of scared that this person has no need of the push,
Yeah.
of the talk,
Come to think
and
of
he
it,
tries to be fine.
wasn't there a character in the Merits as well who was
Yep,
fine with it?
Cypher.
Yeah.
Cypher was the guy who took the red pill and then regretted it and wanted to go back into the fold, so to say.
Mm. Yeah, but I guess in that case it sort of made a little bit sense because like there were people. I mean, there were monsters basically trying to kill him while he was outside of the Matrix. So
Yeah.
um
In this case, it's just this person refuses to even attempt an escape because he's fine.
right.
It was
But he gets
what the creature
stabbed in the
finds
back
anyway.
anyway. But he gets stabbed in the back anyway by the system. Um,
Hmm.
which I think probably the same happened to Cypher as well. If like, or maybe he just gets killed before even
He gets killed.
before,
He's
but
about to disconnect. He's about to disconnect Neo when I think the name of the other guy is Link, something like that. I don't
yeah,
remember all the names.
yeah. I guess
I remember they wanted a higher pay to return in the sequels, and they replaced it with his cousin or something like this. And they claimed
yeah.
he died in between
Yeah.
movies.
I guess one thing which I did wonder was whether the machines would keep their word to him or not. Um,
Mm.
which I don't know. I mean, it was Agent Smith, and he was a weird one, a mutant or whatever, a virus, whatever. So he might not have kept the word.
I do believe that the machines would have been fine with putting him back to into its place, so to say.
Right.
Because what's the point? It would be like, after all, it's just um, after all, it's just another battery for them. So it would be better to at least bring it back to get a few extra gigawatts.
Right. Also, if according to the ending of the last movie, like the machines are supposed to, if they give their word, unlike human beings, they're supposed to keep
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Mhm.
Like yeah.
When the architect is talking to the oracle, it's like, "Will you keep your word?" Of course, I will. I'm not human. It says something like this.
Right. I remember. Have you seen the Animatrix?
I saw a few bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
not all of them, but a few.
yeah. So in that one, like they actually make the humans sign an agreement at the United Nations to to basically turn humans into batteries, and so that's why they're keeping their word through the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um. Anyway,
I sort of remember that.
yeah. So yeah. Whereas in your story, it doesn't seem like. I mean, I guess they are kind of keeping their word. It's just that the human assumed that he would not get stabbed in the back. I guess
Hmm.
it's not like they promised him that they wouldn't.
And
Uh,
also, the thing is, technically, uh, there is a structure on top of this, and I don't say anything by it. There are other humans in control of both these intermediaries and the common people.
right.
So in that case, it's closer to Brave New World because the machines are not in control. The the core of the power is still in the hands of a selected few that achieve this stalemate, so to say, where people are fine with being turned into different resource harvesting entities with the promise that one day they will go and they will have their interstellar journey as a reward where they can just relax, and that's it. But of course, there are a lot of hidden clauses in there. For example, the first part shows that yeah, they are human because they are willing to backstab you as soon as you become, let's say, cost inefficient.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess I just because from what I understand, the guy who wrote Huxley, the guy who wrote Brave New World,
Hmm.
was
Aldous
yeah.
Aldous Huxley Jr.
He was sort of like the kind of person who believed in that the future would be.
He was sort of a positivist, yes. He was of the idea that technology will sort of, even if in Brave New World it's a bit more gray, it's not really. Uh, some of the things are kind of in a gray area. You're not sure if it's saying this is good, this is bad, which is interesting. In the sort of sequel analysis that he made of Brave New World, called Return to Brave New World, he says that actually he would rather see this situation rather than society as it is right now. So it would be fine with this sort of super technocratic um, world organization that controls and doles out pleasure and roles to everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Raja Shazari says hi in the chat, so hi. If you're still there.
Hi.
Um, right. Um, what else is there to say? Yeah, it reminded me of that video called "You Will Be Happy" by Leonardo of Bids on YouTube. So if you want to see
I
something,
don't know it.
um, it's yeah. Though in that
I haven't
case,
seen it.
it's like it's not that the humans. So he's basically one of those YouTubers who make videos about funny, I guess funny videos about Bitcoin and whatnot. So basically, like the joke is that like um your entire life depends on tokens, right? And when you run out of tokens, like like you use the tokens to pay for your subscription for everything, so you lose everything, essentially. But you are happy about it or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I think that basically covers your story, unless there's anything else.
Mhm.
Eric,
Yeah.
um, have you anything to say? I guess about Kiasma's story.
Like the only major fact that I noticed in the story was how people were in my opinion, that's what I derived from the story, are subconsciously controlled through this means of happiness. Like they are not directly controlled by the higher people, that the hand few of people that were actually uh, controlling this scheme. They were subconsciously controlled to this uh,
Correct. They
uh,
fed into, in a source, they fed into their addictions, and that's why
yes.
they didn't want to. They were fine with being treated like this.
Yes, and it reminds me of a sort of a mind hive, like a sort of let's say ant colony. That we have the queen that concentrates all the power, and then we have the workers, and the workers do all the things for the queen because they need to sustain their life. And I can associate in some sense your story with such a
Yeah,
lifestyle of
there
an
is.
ant,
It's just
because
I don't state that. Yeah, like there is for
yes,
sure the idea that there is a power above that takes advantage of all this. Not even with the difference that in an ant colony, at least the queen has the role of producing
it's like
offspring. In this
yes, it's
case,
she serves to produce offsprings. In this case, the
we
handful of
don't
people
even
that
know who
control.
they are. It's
Yes,
completely faceless.
yes. But in essence, your story was really good, and it kind of shows what what power concentration can do to our future. If you concentrate power in the hands of a few, what can
I do
actually
believe
happen?
also the thing I was trying to say is that if you are just fine with feeling pleased with just having food and literally getting your twice a day cummies, then you really become a drone. Because in the
Yes,
past, it's undeniable that power was concentrated in the hand of very few. But at least those people had some values, and usually the people underneath them had some values. And when the people above did something wrong, the people would keep them accountable.
And
Whereas right now, it's difficult to keep someone accountable because the vast majority of people honestly have a very loose idea of what values are.
yeah, and
mm,
besides,
yes,
yeah. Um, yeah, let's move on to Fahrenheit's story then. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I liked it. I think it was the best one.
yes,
But
yes. Actually,
but
I really liked it. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of felt like it ended a bit abruptly, though. But that's again, I guess because of the word count limit.
Hmm. I kind of like that it felt something. It was something paranormal almost going on.
Yeah, yeah.
yes. It was like uh, th- i- it was good because it showed simple people in a complex, weird situation,
Hmm.
and the ambition of one person to just go
Yeah.
back to his life. He still had the ambition to go back to that life, even though it was
Hmm.
perceived as miserable, hard and things like that. But he still had the ambition for little things like starting a family, uh,
Hmm.
having a community of his own, leading a community of his own, and that really is an ambitious text. The final dialogue when the main character speaks to that girl and tells her how he needs to go back to the
Hmm.
to society, and even if he dies trying, he will still do it, and he goes and is never to be seen again.
It
And
reminded me a little. Oh, sorry, go first. What you were done.
and it really defied the uh, you know the other's perspective on life. Like they just abandoned life completely.
Hmm.
They forgot about their families, their homes, nothing. They just forgot about it, let it in the past, and stayed there, which means that they didn't have any ambition in their life. They were lost, essentially. That's what I
Hmm.
got out of of those three characters that remained beside our main character.
Yeah,
Our
Hmm.
main character was the only one with the huge ambition.
It reminded me a little bit of the two. Um, there are two episodes in the Odyssey where something similar happens. It's the story of the island where Circe is, or Circe in the English pronunciation, and then the island of the Lotus Eaters, where part of Odysseus' a crew. In the first case, in Circe's island, they get turned into pigs and then they stay there for a few months. And then after that, there is the end. Then there is the episode where they arrive on another island and they the people there welcome them, and then all of a sudden they start to feed them lotus flowers. That's pretty much to say drugs, and part of the crew decides to stay there forever. So it felt a little bit like a miniature revisiting of those two ideas.
what I liked the most about it was that it seemed plausible that they would like to be there, that there was enough to keep them in, and enough unpleasant things outside, and hard things about real life, like
Yeah.
and it sort of to escape into this kind of a fake rustic, um, yeah, almost pocket dimension. um,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's what I liked about it. Because it's not um, like they are overtly, um, bribed to be there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you will have all the riches in the world, all the pleasure in the world, but
They're
they,
just content, so to say.
yeah, just trouble free, essentially,
Hmm.
I guess.
It reminds me also a little bit of the reverse, pretty much, of Hermanes Siddhartha, where it begins with him being in his beautiful palace where everything is fine and perfect in a sense, and then one day he decides, in a sense, he's sort of bored of this perfection. He's moved to go outside these walls where there is no sickness, where there is no old age, where there is no famine. And for the first time, he encounters someone who's sick and poor, and that's what moves him to later on become the Buddha. So I find it's sort of similar, the same idea of moving outside of what is comfortable and return to the struggle, in a sense.
Yeah, whereas here, as you said, it's the opposite. They just want to escape the struggle
Hmm.
into unthinking, essentially.
The only person who's able to break this is the main protagonist, John.
Yeah, because he has something that he wants from life, more
Hmm.
than just not suffering, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, like he realized how the struggle is really important for his life,
Hmm.
while the others were just they essentially didn't want to go back into society because they wanted to escape their lives. Like
Hmm.
that really shows how there are some people in this world that don't want to continue, like going on with their lives and just want a safe spot. You know,
Mm. Yeah.
where each of their problems is completely shoved down the garbage bin.
It's like an endless field trip. Like they go there and they become sort of friends, and
Yes.
yeah, and yeah, I guess it's a bit like that Urusei Yatsura movie that
Yeah.
we
I
watched.
was thinking,
Um,
Like another thing about the main
with the difference,
protagonist,
it doesn't seem he's able to move the others to escape.
yes, Eric.
Sorry.
and like another thing about the protagonist is that, in my opinion, what I saw from the action, he had like reasons to remain in that artificial world, because he had friends. He
Hmm.
had like a sort of let's say community in there, but he chose the real life because it's more important, like
He could
to
have made
push.
excuses. He had
Yes.
the ground to make some, like, oh, but I don't need to do this because, but instead he prefers the challenge of
He
going
pre-
into the woods even at the risk of his own life.
Hmm.
yeah, basically he loves the earth. He needs to have a, yeah, like the real world. It's just basically the usual anti-escapist stuff, which you see. But it was well done for what it
Hmm.
is. I guess so. At the start, I thought that the characters were a lot younger. Um,
Yeah, when they were at the beginning, I thought they were like, "Oh, these are teenagers," and I thought, well, they're a bit older. But honestly, it wasn't like too bad. Like, I think a lot of people sometimes they talk and think in ways that seem younger than their actual age.
yeah, for some reason, like I pictured the bus as a school bus, but obviously there's nowhere where it says that.
But
It's
then I realized, I know it's just about.
yeah. Um, yeah. I guess I pictured it like you know that scene where they drive into what's his name? I can't remember the protagonist. Agent Cooper drives into uh, Twin Peaks. You know, somewhere like that,
Mm,
but even more isolated, obviously. Um,
or a little bit like the beginning of Shadow over Innsmouth.
um, what did you think of the butler, if anything?
Having worked with butlers, uh, it
The
felt
butler?
kind of. No, go first, Eric.
No, continue. Yeah, I interrupted you.
Say I felt it was like an intriguing character because he has all the right answers. However, there is something a little bit ubiquitous, a little bit worrying about him, which I kind of liked.
Mhm.
There was sort of like of a passive malevolence to him.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, similar to Cersei, because it's not for or the Lotus Eaters, because it's not like saying now you cannot go away anymore. It's more like luring, it's like lulling them into this environment where they seem to be unable to go away unless they
Y-
force themselves, but is sort of eroding to their will to do anything.
Yes, like that's what I wanted to point out. Like he says that his master is gone for a long time, but he hopes that he's going to come back soon. And in my head, I pictured something like this: there is a motive behind the butlers, luring the our
Mhm.
protagonists into the mansion, because I pictured something like this in my head. He wants to replace uh, his
Yeah,
master with them, like to
he's
trap them there.
lonely.
Yes, because he's lonely. He needs someone to serve and things like that. So he must resume to
Mhm.
anything that he can do to have a master.
Yeah,
Huh.
plus
um,
But
we
he was
never
really
know.
sweet.
No, no, yeah, but it's that kind of sweetness that could lead to ulterior motives for his
I,
kindness, which is quite interesting.
I guess the artificial thing here was the plants and the trees and what,
Yeah,
which what did you?
again, we don't know how old this place really is, how long the master has been gone.
Yeah, I mean, um, I I kind of got the feeling that the characters were being constantly watched, or something like that, a little bit sometimes, but maybe. Uh, I mean, have you really ever been to a place where like all the plants and trees were all made of
No,
flowers? Yeah. Um, so that seemed a bit weird. So um, the
At
for
some moments,
yeah,
it felt like an enclosure, you know, like a maquette, and
mhm.
they are like little
Yeah,
things
yeah,
that roam into this maquette little thing, like full of plastic and things like that. It felt like an enclosure at
yeah.
some moments.
So basically, the reason why I kind of at the start I said that I felt that it ended a bit too early is that like I didn't feel like I would have liked to know what the hell is going on actually.
honestly, I like that. It's a bit confusing.
Mm.
It reminded me a little bit of one of the short stories that comprise Robert Chambers, The King in Yellow. There is one of them that is called The Demoiselle Dis. The Demoiselle Dis. And it's difficult because it's French. And it's the story of this guy that accidentally is trapped in a sort of time bubble with this lady, and they fall in love, and then there is a terrible tragedy. And it felt a little bit could be something like this, like, are they really in their own time? Are they lost in some weird parallel dimension or something like this? There is sort of kind of eeriness to the whole situation, and there are no clear-cut answers, which is something I always prefer to a simple, yes, that's the reason why, that's why X is so and so forth.
Right. Yeah. I think he said he left a note saying that he got the names from, or that he didn't want people to think that he got the names from um, a maths textbook or something. Because I guess because they're pretty common names or something. I guess. What were the names? There was Liu.
John, Luke, Lou, and the girl I forget, like Bjorn.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah. And obviously, at least according to the girl, two of them might be imposters, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they've been here for longer, so maybe they are part of the trap,
Yeah.
or they fall for the trap and now they want to lure in more people.
Right. Yeah. I think it's the girl who says that she's fine with being here. Was it somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
It's the girl, right? Yeah.
At one point, yes, it's like, it's that's one of the things that I wanted to say in my story too. When I wrote, there's at one point the character that says, "I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fine with it." It's the
Yeah.
kind of same feeling. It's fine. I'm fine with the current situation. You know, I like that short comic, it's like web comic, and then it became a short animation of that dog in the house on fire. I was like, this is fine. I'm fine with with the events that are currently unfolding. But a little bit the same. Like, why should I change things? There is nothing I can do. You can leave, but it's fine. He's fine with it. Felt a little bit the same.
Right. So, um, did it remind me of anything else? No. Okay. I think that unless you guys have anything else to add, that's it really. Anything else?
No, I don't think there were. I liked both Captain Eric's and Fahrenheit stories. I found them both of them quite interesting, and I think they could be developed in even longer. I think, for example, Captain Eric's story could be a series of diary entries from the
Yes,
point of view of this machine.
I really thought about that. Like the next story, I'll probably make a sequel to
Try,
this.
try,
Yeah. Why not?
or even if
I'm
not
going
for
to try it.
even not for this like um, online project, do it, because I think there is something interesting that could be explored in there, and I think the same
Exactly.
goes for Fahrenheit story. Would be interesting to know what the heck is going on a bit more without spoiling everything, but maybe
Yeah.
a few
I
more
yeah.
details about the place and the mansion and the master and the butler would be interesting to delve a bit deeper into what the heck is going on.
I guess for your story, Yasmo, well, to continue it from that point on would be like there would need to be some sort of a slave rebellion or something. I don't know because
Yes,
otherwise,
something by revolution or something like that, like people discovering that who
Maybe
like
an idea could be something like someone sort of wakes up to some of the real things going on, but I would go for the obvious terrible ending where everyone is convinced that if they rebel, the whole system will fall down and they will have nothing to rebuild, and they are put back in place with the scare that in a sort of way the world outside is like there is this idea now that even if our situation is really bad, outside is even worse. If you tear down this wall, there is an endless sea of worms and monsters that would swarm in and destroy what little you got. You really want that? It could be something like this, and with this one person sort of ending up a little bit like the end of Brave New World, with the person who wants to change things finding the only escape is suicide or something in that way. Do you remember? No, it ends. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
So
that ending was terrible. Like in the right way, but it was still incredibly depressing.
yeah, I mean, I guess the same with 1984. I guess he doesn't kill himself, but it's even
Did you
worse.
see? Someone is asking who's the Arnold Schwarzenegger son in Mofo. I do believe they're talking about you, Captain Eric. I think
Is it someone in the chat? Oh,
Dr. Trax.
oh, that's yeah, that's our own Dr. Schatz, I guess.
who's talking about me?
Dr.
I
Schatz.
think he's talking about you because it says, "Who's the Arnold Schwarzenegger son?" Mofo.
Well,
do,
yeah.
do I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
A little bit. You've got sort of the
Like
Austrian accent, but
like Romanians really have. It depends on the region. Romanians really have a weird accent. It depends on the region.
you're closer to Russia.
Moldova, yes, closer to
Okay,
Ukraine. But I'm from
okay,
another
because I
region,
can get the. Mhm.
like I'm in another region separated from, Moldova, which is
No,
called
but I'm
Bukovina.
saying closer to Ukraine and Russia. Many of the Romanians that I heard an accent which is similar to yours are from those regions, either Moldova or close to Ukraine.
Yes.
I was asking.
So for the next story, if you don't mind, do you guys know how to use Markdown? Do you
What is that?
a Markdown?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Romania hasn't reached this type of technology.
So it's like like on Discord when you want to make something bold, you can post two asterisks on either side of something, and that will make it bold.
Like any kind of role play.
Right.
Because I used
I
to do
haven't.
I used to do
I
furry
have.
role play, so
I
guess
haven't
I'm
reached.
just
I haven't reached the intellect to understand such concepts.
But basically, there's this thing called Markdown, and it's easier to turn into HTML. So basically, like when I compile the stories to post them on the site, then it would be easy for me to turn it into HTML. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not the computers guy, so you'll have to teach me.
say
Yeah. Okay. I'll. It's pretty easy after you learn it. Because otherwise, like I have to manually like add the paragraph tags for each paragraph, and it's annoying. Anyway, I think that's probably enough for the stream. I mean, we are no longer talking about the stories anyway, so I'll stop